am back from my babysitting gig overnight. Let me see if I can fix some of the lighting here. There, okay. I'm hungry. I want breakfast. What is a good Southern breakfast? Well, biscuits come to mind. If you've watched some of my channel, before I get started, forgive me, I'm not going to be able to read all the comments to comment back to you because my phone is there and I can't read the scroll. So I won't be responding at the moment. But biscuits. You've all seen me do biscuits. Nothing fancy. I've made a couple different variations of them, just regular plain old biscuits, biscuits with raisins, so on and so forth. Today, though, is something I found in the store the other day. About a month ago, I saw them, and I picked one up and I tried it. It was delicious, and I'm going to show that in a minute, but I'm going to start with biscuits. So I was online the other day looking at biscuit recipes, mainly biscuit recipes where they make it using a food processor. I don't have a Cuisinart or a really pricey, fancy food processor. I got this for $15 at Dollar General. Pardon me, I haven't had coffee yet. And I'm not going to pay $100, $200 for a food processor that I use twice a year. But then I saw somebody do biscuits using their food processor the other day and I said, I want to try that. So let's do it. This recipe is a savory one. So it's going to be regular biscuits with a variation on the recipe. Everybody's recipe is different. Your grandmother probably showed you different, or your mom or your dad or whatever. Everybody's, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with anybody's biscuits. Everybody has a different method, different recipe, temperature, how long to cook, how many times to fold. Do you use a rolling pin? Do you not use a rolling pin? Lots of stuff. So, what I have is in the container for my little food processor. This is a mini food processor, so I can't do a huge batch. This is half the batch. I will put the full recipe in the description afterwards. What I have in here is 1 cup of just all-purpose flour. I have 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt. That's all there is, okay? Now, what I'm going to start by doing is I'm going to put my cover on and I'm going to pulse this a few times. And what this does is this will mix it all together. Now this only has 1 single set of blades at the bottom. It doesn't have double and triple blades. So I do have to shake it. Okay? And everything is now mixed. Now, if you remember, you know, you cut in your butter. Let me turn this down for a second. You know, we cut in our butter using a one of those cutters that you push down on the butter with. Sometimes we use a fork, 2 forks, our hands, whatever. This is unsalted butter. I have 2.5 tablespoons of cold butter, okay? I will agree, you know, cold butter, that's one of the things that people say is use cold butter, which I will. And then I just sprinkle this around. I'll put these, I don't put the whole chunk in. You want this to be able to get mixed around with the unit. And I'm just going to quarter these. They don't have to be perfect. They're getting mixed up anyways. I'm going to toss them in. I'll get about half of it in. And then I'm going to put the top on. You'll see this is a very inexpensive unit. And it's cut in, so it kind of looks like beach sand. And you can smell the butter now that it's been chopped up. It smells really good. This is dishwasher safe, so when I'm done here, I just rinse it off, throw it in the dishwasher. No muss, no fuss. It's very easy cleanup. Put the top back on. Like I said, it's a single blade, so it does not mix up like an expensive version. So what I do is I'll start it and I'll shake it. Now, interesting thing about this recipe was I was always taught, you know, you start with your butter mixture and your flour, get it to like a sand, and then you slowly drip in your water or your milk. This one says pour it right in. So I have a little less than 1/3 of a cup of milk, and I'm gonna pour that right in. I tested this yesterday, it worked really good. And then I'll put my top back on. And it's gonna mix, and I'll shake it again. And it's come together really well. The other thing about this recipe is it calls for a 475-degree oven. I was kind of concerned about that. What I have here is, to make it more savory, is my cowboy candy with my, there's some pimento and some sriracha peppers in there. This is extremely spicy. It's about, tablespoon and a half. You don't have to use these. I like jalapenos, I like spice. So I'm using them. You don't have to. I know this is not authentic. These are the flavors I like. Now, what I do what I do, and I do what I do is I take my top off if I can. And I'm going to take my mixture and just dump it here. It's going to make sure the blades are out, which they are. Like I said, normally you would just do this in a bowl. And then I'm just going to bring it together to a ball. I made half a batch. It's just me. It's going to be for one breakfast, okay? Let me pick up all my leavings here. Now, I know the rule, believe me. I have gotten comments from people at my house when I make these, and they say, don't use a rolling pin. And my response is, I'm not. I have a piece of 1-inch dowel rod from my shop that I use. I'll roll this out to about 1/2 inch thick. Doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't have to be round. I'm going to be cutting biscuits out of this. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, that's about 1/2 inch thick. I'm going to spread my jalapeno. So these are sweet and savory, and I had some last night while I was babysitting, and these are fire. And not only because of the heat, this adds another layer of flavor. bring out my doohickey, and I'm just going to fold it. Okay, I'm going to press. Nothing fancy. I'm just going to roll it again. 1/2 inch thick, okay? About a 1/2 inch thick, which is, I'm there now. Now I'm taking this is an antique aluminum. This is very old. Antique, it's just a measuring cup, but it's got a sharp edge. I'm going to cut my biscuits. I'm going to place them on my parchment paper. They're touching. I always was taught to make them touch. When they start to rise, they push out a little bit. Then what happens is they push up. So, just a little trick of the trade. I'll get it to where I can get 2 more. Should be able to get 1 there, 2 that aren't perfect, but they're close enough. And I'm going to put them here. See, they're touching. Just like that. Should be able to get 1 more biscuit. This one's just going to be formed by hand because I don't have enough to roll out. That'll give me 5 biscuits. They're all touching. That's all I do with them. My oven is preheated to 475. I'm going for 13 minutes. Timer. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be serving it in. I'm going to break my biscuits in here. Here is the fancy edition. It's a pot pie, but not just any pot pie. This is not a paid advertisement. It is a sausage and gravy deep dish. I've had these. They are delicious. I'll tell you, it's not grandma's biscuits and gravy. It's not. I will tell you that much right now. But when you get them on sale for 85 cents, I mean, when you take 85 cents and then you throw together some flour and baking powder, and you end up with a breakfast like this, that's filling, that's hearty. Is it the healthiest? No, it's not. It's not the healthiest. It's not even close. I know, I get it. Everybody's into health nowadays. Well, you know what? You know what I'm into? I'm into filling my belly, feeding my family. If anybody hasn't noticed lately, trying to eat healthy is very expensive. And I do eat healthy. I mean, I have my own garden. But let me just shove this out of the way, and then we can talk. But I eat healthy. I'm not in bad shape for a 60-year-old guy. I think I'm in pretty dang good shape. I said dang, I didn't curse. So I might as well have, though, because, I mean, dang is just a slang for something else. Yeah, so Hearth and Home mural, I just saw them last month, and I just tried one the other day, and they're good. I got them on sale. They had like 6 for $1. It ended up, it wasn't 6 for $1. It was 85 cents a piece, if I remember correctly. But 85 cents a piece for biscuits and gravy to go over a biscuit that cost me, how much did the biscuits cost? A little bit of flour. I used 1 cup of flour. How much does a cup of flour, a little baking powder, some salt cost? I'm having a breakfast, a good, tasty breakfast for $1.50. Hey, Missy, cooking on a budget. Speaking of cooking on budgets, you know, Missy does those struggle meals. I guess you could consider this a struggle meal. I'm only doing this because growing up, I remember shopping with my mom, and when we go to the store, I remember at one point she would get the pot pies, and they would be 10 for $1. They were 10 cents a piece. I forget the name brand. These are Banquet. Banquets are the inexpensive ones. You have the Marie Callender. This one was 85 cents. The Marie Callender is $3.60. I mean, I'm putting this over biscuits or rice or my own potatoes. So I'm making this even better. I'm not gonna pay $3.50 for one when I can get something this inexpensive that tastes, I think, as good. I know Marie Callender's good, I do. I don't wanna get anybody, you know, upset. And I don't wanna lose subscribers because I dissed Marie Callender. Marie Callender's fine, I don't wanna speak ill of Marie Callender. Yeah, I enjoy Banquet. We got about eight minutes left. When those biscuits come out, I'll break them up. Hey, Bo, I'll break them up in this dish. I have these little dishes we got from my mother-in-law handed these down to me. These are really nice dishes. They got a ceramic finish. They're coated, so they don't really need non-stick stuff. They're already pretty much non-stick. So while we're waiting, so my mom used to buy these pot pies for 10 cents a piece. They were 10 for $1. She'd get 20 of them or so, because there was 11 of us. We grew potatoes and green beans. So those nights, my mom could feed. She does, yeah, they are good. She does. I've had the pot pies. The big pot pies she makes are really good. So 11 of us, my mom would cook 20 of the pot pies in the oven, and then we had our own potatoes. I mean, we had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds of potatoes. And then we had hundreds of quarts of green beans that we stored every year. So we could feed our family. My mom and dad could feed our family that night for $2 total. 20 pot pies, 10 cents a piece. Our potatoes, we dug them up ourselves. You know, there's other little costs like power and blah, blah, blah that go into it. Yes, I know. But if you're just looking at just a quick pricing of that meal, my mom would feed 11 of us for $2. That's pretty amazing when you think about it. But like they say, necessity is the mother of invention. And when you need to eat, you need to clothe yourself, you need to find shelter, you will come up with ways to do that. Thankfully, it's just my wife and I, so, you know, we eat pretty much what we want. We don't go overboard. We're very plain eaters. I'll make a casserole, we'll eat over 3 or 4 days. But we're still, I would rather have stuff from my childhood. I like goulash, and I like just baked chicken with potatoes. And I like just whatever cheap cut of meat you got, throw it in a crock pot with some vegetables, cook it for 4 hours and eat it. A pot roast, whatever. I don't need fancy. I still shop very frugally. I still do the electronic coupons. I do the Dollar General $5 off. I do the rebates. I do all of that. Because it's your money. You worked hard for it for 40 years or 50 years. I'm not just going to hand it to somebody. We already do that with taxes. I don't need to do it in other ways, you know. Yeah, banquet food, to me, is really good. You guys, while I'm waiting, I got about 5 minutes left on the biscuits. Let me check them. Yep, they're rising very well. You guys all remember I'm making, for my garden out there, I'm making these directional arrows out of, this is an old Adirondack chair that's been sitting in the weather. So it's all weathered. You can see the yellow turning to white as it fades. But this sat outside for a long time. So I just cut these little arrows out. These are gonna go on my fence. The first few are gonna be cities or towns, villages that I grew up in that have special meaning to me. So I already showed you one. One was the Alps. This is in upstate New York. That's where I was born. It's a small town. There wasn't many people in it. That's where I lived. We lived in a tiny little 700 square foot house, 7 of us, with an outhouse. It was called the Alps. It's 1,634 miles away from Oklahoma, where I live. I wood burned that one. Then I cut some more the other day. Some more of these. And then this one here is, this is the other town. When I was 12, just turning 13, we moved to East Posenkill, New York. We had moved away from the Alps when I was 5. We went to a town called Falconer or Jamestown, New York. Lived there for a couple of years. My father got transferred back to a place called Waterville, New York, which I'm going to do that sign. This empty one here will probably be Waterville. And we sat there for a couple of years, and then we moved back to, this is right down the road from the Alps, is East Posenkill. We moved here in when I was 13, 12, 13, turning 13. Little town, a couple hundred people. Everybody knew each other. You know, my dad grew up in that area. My wife, she grew up in that area. That's how we knew each other. So that's the second one. I'll probably do Waterville, maybe Falconer, and then I'm gonna do McKinney, Texas, where we moved, me and my wife and our family, when we moved from upstate New York to Texas. So, get a shot of coffee. So that's where Okie all began. So if you ever wonder where Okie got his start, it was in a little town called the Alps. And then Salina and Prosper, Texas, we moved to. And then we finally ended up here in Oklahoma. There was some other little, when we got married, we moved to a couple different apartments that were different cities. They hold no meaning for me. They're just cities we lived in till we got down here. So, and then I'm also gonna do a few from my travels when I was working up north as a production manager. I've been to Belgium and Amsterdam, a little bit in Holland. And then I've had to travel in the States a few places. And I'm probably gonna do some of those signs just because some of those places were really cool. One being Ghent in Belgium. That's where we basically worked and stayed. But then we also toured. We went to, because it's small, we went to Brussels. We went to Brussels and Bruges and Ghent. It's G-H-E-N-T, Ghent. Some say the G is silent. They call it Hent. I don't know. I call it Ghent. But if you look up G-H-E-N-T, it's a really cool place. It's authentic. It was untouched during World War II. So all of the old structures, all of the old monasteries and buildings and storefronts are all old hewn stone. They weren't bombed. Hitler, they surrendered before Hitler bombed them. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful city with the cobblestone streets, little shops. It was a great place to be. I'm gonna this has been out, I cooked this earlier. These are super hot whenever you take them out of the oven. These are the surface of the sun. If you've ever had a pot pie and you burn the roof of your mouth. This is just gonna go in for 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Let me check my biscuits. Let me get my rack here to put the biscuits on. done. So they were in for, I think, 12 or 13 minutes. Warm. What do they look like? I'll call them done. Put them on the rack. And let's turn these down and see what in the world is going on here. Okay. So there we have it. We have the biscuits. They're very hot. You can see the pepper. You can see the green peppers, the jalapenos in them. Let me see if I can, let me do this. So there's the biscuit, nice and brown. You can see the jalapenos. So that's sweet and savory, because remember, that is made with a simple syrup, basically. But you can see they're flaky, they're pulling apart. So let's put this all together. I'll take this one here because it's going to be easier, but here we go. Let's break these biscuits up. I love breaking up fresh biscuits when you can peel them. Ouch. Ooh, that baby's hot. Hot, hot, hot. And they flake like that. But you can see the jalapeno inside. I like to break these babies up. I'm babysitting probably again tonight, so these are my snack for later. So you can't have them, they're mine. Deal with it. So there we have it. So now I'm going to take my, remember, this is my banquet deep dish sausage and gravy. I don't have to make the gravy. I don't have to cook the sausage, nothing. Now I can just dump this in here. So there's my biscuits and gravy. I just break this open. And look at that. Smells delicious. So let's let this cool for a second. Let's come back up here so everybody can see Mr. Okie here. Give this a little chance to cool. I've had the pie. I've had this deep dish sausage and gravy pie. I have not had it over biscuits yet. I'll tell you, for not homemade gravy, they put a lot of sausage in this. This thing is loaded with sausage. That's all sausage. Now, I'm going to tell you, I put my cowboy candy in here, so this has a kick. This has a kick. That is so good. So, but if you don't want to try that biscuit recipe, try your own biscuit recipe. Make your own biscuit recipe. Buy one of these pies. Watch the sales. They're typically $1, and they do go on sale quite often. Get them for 85 cents. Even at $1, it's still a steal. Put 2 or 3 biscuits in there that you make yourself. Let me go to, let's see, Shannon from Us and Our Bunch. She makes her biscuits quite often. If you watch her channel, it's at Us and Our Bunch, one long word, Us and Our Bunch. And she does these biscuits, and she makes some smaller ones, and she'll take chicken tenders, and then she'll cook the biscuits, split them, put the chicken tender on it, and then freeze them in a bag, and then freeze her biscuits. She did a video on it. And then put them in the freezer. You could go, at this point, go buy a few of these deep dish pies, these biscuits and gravy pie. You put these in the oven for half an hour, I think this is 20 minutes in my air fryer. Microwave your biscuits that you have in the freezer. You can microwave the pie in 4 to 5 minutes. You can microwave the pie, microwave the biscuits. You could have a really good, solid, filling breakfast. If you're outside working in the cold, you wanted something that's comfort food, do what Shannon did. Freeze your biscuits, freeze your chicken biscuits. Chicken biscuit, microwave it, throw your biscuits and gravy over the top. This would be great with a chicken biscuit in it. There's so many variations to this. This is my breakfast, so I'm gonna go eat this now. Give it a try, give it a whirl. It's inexpensive, it'll fill you up, and it's actually very good and comfort food. So take it easy. Everybody have a good day. I'm gonna go eat this, then catch a nap. So we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for being here, I appreciate it.